Big Rab Show Podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show Podcast.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show podcast. Well, that was quite a week in the bagpiping world, wasn't it? Yeah, we have a serious amount of ground to cover on this week's show. Plus, we have an amazing topic of the week where we're going to preview the second major championship in the calendar, the UK Championships. And we've got a lot of ground to cover there too. So there may well be some stories that'll have to hit the cutting room floor just for time reasons. But we're going to do our best to cover everything. But first of all, before we do any of that, let's get into our introductions then, shall we? If this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk. We reflect everything in the bagpiping world. You tell Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, which is competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week we're here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the Great Highland Bagpipe and its people. And yeah, like every other podcast out there, we do have a Patreon, where if you do go and have a look at it, there's a link in your show notes right now, no matter where you're listening, there's a little link there. Click on that, and if you do click on that link of support, well, you would be immediately awesome.
Well, hello, pals and dames. The Patreon faithful are awesome. Solid send. The whole bunch is simply scrumptious. The Patreon faithful are awesome.
Yes, they are indeed. So go and check out that link. There's tons of extras back there, including possibly one of our favorite features that we've been producing over there, which is our Fly on the Wall documentary series, which is really quite detailed. If you haven't checked it out, a lot of the Rab Show team have been furiously working on this behind the scenes. Each and every month, we produce a pretty well-produced documentary and what it takes to make this show happen. And right now, because we're smack bang in the middle of the season, it's just got interesting. It's not just me here standing talking through scripts every single week. No, there's a lot of other stuff that goes on behind the scenes that perhaps would never see the light of day, but it is available to folks over there on Patreon. So just wanted to give them a shout. Patreon faithful are awesome. Yes, you are. Right. Let's kick off the show good and proper then, shall we? With each and every Big Rab Show, we do open the door to listener mail. And this week's no different. Our email address has never changed from the start, which is bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Right. First of all, our first email was received in from Bill, and it says, "Hi, Big Rab. Just wanted to give you a bit of an update in relation to the Hamilton Gathering competition, which took place there on Saturday, June 6th. Yes, now we were aware of this thanks to the PBBSO. Yes, there in Ontario, we were aware of this. So he goes on to say, he said, it's smaller games to open the outdoor season under the PBBSO, and it was kind of restricted to bands playing up as far as grade 3. Now, he did actually provide us with the results, which was just brilliant. And if anything, following last week's show, we did get a number of people from the PBBSO actually reach out to us and provide us with associated links and stuff for results of future competitions, which is very helpful. So thank you, everyone who did send that in. All right. Let's get into the actual results there of everything that happened at the Hamilton Gathering. Starting with grade 5 with five bands competing all together. And in first place, winners on the day were Peel Region Police pipe bands. Yes, I think that's Peel Regional Police. There you go. Second was the London Firefighters pipe band. Third was the Hamilton Police. Yes. Fourth was the Spirit of Ontario. And in fifth place was Paris Port Dover pipe band. There you go, that's your grade 5. Moving on to grade 4 then, and first place winner on the day was the Mohawk Valley Frasers. Now, there's a name for a band. Love that. Yeah, in second place was Hamilton Police. In third was the Dundas Pipe Band. And in fourth was Paris Port Dover Pipe Band. There you go. Right. He actually gives me a little side note here. He says the Mohawk Valley Frasers are based out of Rome, New York. Oh, I didn't know that. There you are. Thank you, Bill. He goes on to say then about Grade 3, they had 2 bands altogether. With Grade 4, Hamilton Police were also challenging up. So, yeah, in first place was the Guelph Pipe Band. There you are. Well done, the Guelph. And in second was Hamilton Police, so played up. So, yeah, he's also sent us through some details about, well, June 13th, this weekend. Now, we know we're going to start talking all about the UK Championships, but we're very keenly aware there's other competitions happening that day as well. Well, yeah, the 51st Georgetown Highland Games are happening. Yes. And he's also provided the full lineup. Now, I'm not going to read the whole hashtag list, but I'm going to point you in the direction of the pbbso.org website where you can go and check out the full draw for Georgetown. Now, apparently this will include the debut of the 70th Fraser Highlanders. Yes, this will be their debut competition this season, and I am more than excited for that. So, yes, thank you to Bill for sending through that information. Very exciting to see things kicking off there in Ontario, and yeah, really looking forward to Georgetown this weekend. That's going to be exciting. There you go. So we do hope to keep you across developments from Georgetown. If we do manage to get any little video clips and stuff of performances, absolutely, we will share that out there on our socials and our YouTube channel so you folks can enjoy. And I don't know, there's going to be so many people wanting to see the 70th Frasers. That's going to be exciting right there. Do we need to give them a yay? Absolutely. And a bunch of all everyone else that's going to be competing at Georgetown. It really is quite a list here. So, yeah, go and check it out. pbbso.org. All right, let's move on. We do have another email here. This one's come in from Jamie. It said, hi, Big Rab. Just a wee small email to say I absolutely love the show. Ah, that's lovely. It says, I'm a new listener since the Robert Matheson Ensemble Insight interview. More of those, please. Brilliant. Oh, yeah, that episode was absolutely killer. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, I would urge you to go back. It is one of our heavy hitters for this year. We did put a serious amount of work into that. And yeah, go back and have a listen to it. And are there plans for a future episode? Absolutely. Yes, you did say more of those, please. And a bunch of you have said that. So yes, we are working on another one. To kind of build on what we went before, there are questions still coming in about Ensemble, and some of them are quite specific as well, particularly about grassroots piping, 4A, 4B, that kind of area. So how can bands in that sort of grading work on Ensemble? Very interesting conversation. So we are about to get into that in the production of that next episode. So it's in the works, Jimmy. There we go. Moving on, it says here, love your enthusiasm and positivity for the piping world. You're becoming more of an authority in the space. That's probably why folks seem to be complaining more that you're doing something right. Now, as for calling myself an authority in the space, absolutely not. No, I'm not an expert by any means. I'm just a fan and a competitor like everybody else, striving for perfection and sometimes failing dismally. But anyway, yeah, so thank you for the kind words. It goes on to say here, just a wee big up mention to Rothsay and District. Well, let's give them a cheer, shall we? Go on, the Rothsay. Yeah, for their second place finish at the British in Grade 3B last weekend. So this was obviously received there a week ago. So this is a huge result for us, especially as a wee island community band who played with 8 pipers and 4 snares. To second amongst all the amazing bands in 3B is a result and a half. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely brilliant. So we always have to shoot away quick to catch the ferry home. So weren't on the field for the march past. So had to vault the fence to pick up the trophy and then boost immediately to try and get the last ferry home. Wow. So someone had to leap across the fence, lift the trophy, throw the Glengarry in there, and then sprint home. Okay. All right, moving on. We did play off the pier on Butte to launch to a bunch of our local supporters who came out at 9:45 p.m. on a wet Saturday night to show their congrats and support. Brilliant. The whole band was buzzing. So there you go. It's just absolutely brilliant. So shout out to everyone there in Rothsay and District. Fantastic. She does finish that. Well, the whole email does get finished here by saying, kind regards and keep up the great work. I look forward to every episode. Jamie. There you are. So yeah, shout out to Rothsay. Yeah, I agree. Fantastic result. And this seems to be another topic that keeps rearing its head, is hitting that circle with smaller numbers. Is it as effective at winning prizes? Well, Rothsay District just proved that there. 8 pipers, 4 snares, and stepped into second place at the British. Absolutely. It is possible. So, right, we're not going to start talking numbers, number cap, all that kind of stuff. We're not going to get into that. But yeah, shout out to Rothsay, and thank you for your email, Jamie. Much appreciated. All right, now we are keenly aware that not only are we having a competition in Ontario with the Georgetown Highland Games, but we also are looking forward to quite a big event in Chicago. Now, we've got a number of emails asking tons of questions about the Chicago Highland Games this weekend, including what's the draw, what's the prize money, details about the Inverary District concert, just so many questions asking all about Chicago. And I figured at this point we should do it at this early point in the show. Because we got so much email about Chicago, kind of make your head spin. So I'm very fortunate. We actually received an email from the MWPBA president, Jim Sim, and he sent us details about the competition. And it's really detailed. So we're going to get into all of this. Hopefully it'll answer all of your questions that we got on listener mail. All right? So this weekend, the Chicago Highland Games is going to be off the chain. So, right, let me see. I'm reading start at the very start. Okay, just wanted to give you some updates on the Chicago Highland Games, which will be held June 11th through 13th at the DuPont County Fairgrounds in Wheaton, Illinois. Now, if I've pronounced that incorrectly, it is absolutely stuff the Rab got wrong. Yeah, so it's DuPage. Is it DuPage or DuPage? County Fairgrounds in Wheaton. All right, there you go. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I didn't do it on purpose. Moving on. So this year we have 60 bands that have entered, as well as 801 solo events. Whew. Okay. Now, right. 60 bands is huge. That is massive. That is a really, really big competition. But as for 801 solo events, are you kidding me? 801 solo events? Holy. All right, I'm going to stop. Right, it's a family show. Oh, my word. That is insane. So good luck to all of the soloists, right? We're going to kind of breeze over that. The solo work at the Highland Games in Chicago is going to be insane. Let's talk about the bands then. Focusing on those 60 that are entered. So in grade 5, we have 18, so that's our 4B here. In grade 4, or 4As, we have here, there's 21 bands. Now, that's the equivalent of a major right there. That's huge. So that's grade 4, 21 bands. In grade 3, we have 13. I have no words. I'm going to get my bleep button again. In grade 2, the ridiculous grade, we have 6 bands duking it out in grade 2. And then, of course, in grade 1, we have 2. We have St. Thomas Alumni and Inverary District who are making the trip. So, seriously, this is going to be such a big competition. So, yeah, I have heard the argument that this is one of the largest in the United States. So, yeah, I'm seriously looking forward to this weekend. Moving on, Jim says in his email, he says all of the solos will be held on the Friday and then all of the bands will be held on the Saturday. Bands will start at 9 a.m. on Saturday and roll all the way through until 6:30 that evening. Bands are from in the United States, all over the course of the United States, I guess, border to border. And yeah, there's 3 different countries being represented here at this. You have the US, Canada, and Scotland. Yeah. So apparently the total prize fund on offer here is $31,350. Oh. What? Come on. Like, have you ever heard of such prize money at a contest in your life? Come on, Chicago Highland Games. You guys aren't playing around, are you? 31 grand on offer. Whoo, man. All right. Move on, Rab. Try not to swear anymore, please. Family show. Okay. Okay, right. So this makes 81 band performances altogether whenever you count it, because bands obviously competing in MSR and in medley. So you have 81 performances altogether. Now, an interesting point here, and this is one that I will be paying keen attention to, is that they will be continuing to utilize the audio adjudication system for all the band events. Now, this is something we've been closely following, how this system works, and it seems to be really, it works incredibly well from all intents of reports that I've been getting. And so, they're using this for the Chicago Highland Games, which is a big event. So I'm keen to see how a big event like this stretches that system. And if there are any bugs in there or anything that goes potentially wrong, hopefully not. But still, it's good to stress test a system like this to show that it could work at a huge event like that. Yeah. So he goes on to say they have 19 solo judge stations on the Friday, supposed to cope with everyone. I guess, yeah. And they also have brought in adjudicators from the US, Canada, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and including 7 RSPBA panel adjudicators. There you go. So, of course, well, it would be remiss of me if I didn't talk a little bit further about Inverarian districts who are currently, right now, the point of me recording this, in the air. A lot of them are actually in Dublin Airport this morning, and we're flying out of Dublin, heading straight to Chicago. So shout out to all of you folks there in Inverary who are making that journey right now, the point of me talking, and hopefully you all land safe and well and are looking forward for a good tune this weekend in Chicago. Yeah. So apparently there are still some very limited tickets left for the concert. So if you do want to go and check out the concert tickets information, go to chicagoscots.org. There you go. So I just wanted to throw all of that information out there and let you all know the score, what's happening with this weekend's Chicago Highland Games. As for ourselves in the Big Rab Show, we've been asked tons of questions. Will we be live streaming, etc.? No, we don't have any plans for any potential live streams. Okay? No live stream from Chicago. Hope that answers the question. However, we will have people on the ground that will be running around with cameras and hopefully recording performances in the circle. Yeah, so that's the plan. So we do have a number of team members there who will be attending on the day, and they'll be running around, grabbing recordings when they can. So if you do manage to spot a Big Rab Show team member, well then, do make a point in grabbing a Rab Show selfie and saying hi. And if they do happen to be pointing a camera at your band, well then, stand tall, have a good tune, because you never know, that wee video might make its way onto our YouTube channel in due course. There you go. So good luck to everyone who is heading to Chicago this weekend. We're incredibly jealous. Like 31 grand in prize money. Woo! Man, that is not messing around. But yeah, some of the grades here are huge. Like grade 4 with 21 in there. Even grade 5 with 18. That's on a level with a major championship, which is so good to see. So it's fantastic. What a gathering of bands from all across. This is going to shape up to be one of the biggest and possibly best, arguably, competitions in America. There you go. So good luck, everyone. We'll be keeping across the details, of course, and we will be bringing all of the action on next week's pod as we talk about all the results and who won what, where, and how. And, of course, talk about the venue, the portaloos, the food options, all of that stuff. We'll give a full review of the Chicago Highland Games on next week's show. So we've covered a lot of ground already on listener mail. So let's open the door to our next feature, Weekly Drone. Now, we do have quite a few of these on the shelf. And if anything, before we do get into Weekly Drone, JD has sent us a bit of a voice note updating us on an event that we've been across now, well, since a couple of weeks ago when JD previously sent us in his voice note. And he was telling us all about this incredible event there in South Carolina. So, I believe it's wrapped up now. We have shared out the recordings, of course, on our socials of some blistering piping that was taking place. So, let's hear from JD, who can tell us all about how it went. Go on ahead, JD.
Hey, Rab. JD, just checking in here at the conclusion of the Scottish Performing Arts Classic in Charleston, South Carolina today. We had an amazing day of piping. The 4 competitors, as I told you a few weeks ago, was Angus J. McCall and Bruce Gandy and Derek Midgley, and wrapping things up was Greg Wilson. On the light music, we had 4 great performances. Angus had a set of really technically impressive tunes that I had the audience's toes tapping the whole time. Bruce showed off a lot of original compositions in advance as kind of a preview for his piping live performance. Derek had a set inspired by some Alistair Gillies recitals, and Greg Wilson had a set of traditional tunes that were really quite fun. The light music winner on the day, picked by our judge Bob Worrell, was Bruce Gandy with his Piping Live preview set. And then we had, following that immediately, was the Pibroch contest. And again, 4 great Pibrochs. At the conclusion of the first 3, Angus, Bruce, and Derek, I was thinking, man, Bob's going to have a really tough time picking between them. And then Greg went and just had possibly the most perfect Pibroch performance I've ever heard. And, well, then it was an easy choice. Hands down, Greg won. And so he walked away with a nice couple grand in his pocket and Targe bearing the Clan Donald Trust for the Gaelic Performing Arts logo to hang on his wall and take back down to New Zealand. So congrats to Bruce and Greg, the 2 winners of the Scottish Performing Arts, and excited to see what we get put together for our program next year.
There you go. Thank you to JD. And yeah, congratulations to Bruce and to Greg. Honestly, we have shared those performances out there on the Rab Show socials. You can go and have a look at the entire thing was filmed for YouTube. And honestly, the quality was fantastic. So go along, have a watch of those videos. Some of the action was amazing. But yeah, completely agree with JD with the Pibroch performance. That absolutely stood out. I took a bit of time today to actually watch back at those videos and stuff. And yeah, the Pibroch competition was off the charts. So well done, Greg. So there you go. Folks, if you do want to go and see that, let's say we have shared it out, go and check it out. But a massive thank you to JD for that on-the-ground report there. So yeah, what a great event that is. And we'll be keeping across that for future events for sure. Yeah. Looking forward to see how next year develops. All right. So let's get into weekly drones then, shall we? Now we've done our on-the-ground reporting. So, yeah, if you do want to go to, ourselves a Big Rab Show and send us in a weekly drone, you can do. Go to our website, thebigrabshow.com, that big button at the top of the page saying weekly drone. You can let us know your thoughts, feelings, all of it, warts and all, completely anonymously. It's an open microphone to the bagpiping world, which is what makes it beautiful. You know, there's absolutely no fear of recrimination with this one. So, yeah, send us in your weekly drones and we'll bring them to the show. So, JD, let's kick things off with the first one then, mate. Go on ahead.
It's the weekly drone.
Grade 2, the ridiculous grade. Well, Rab, my good man, Grade 2 lived up to its nickname, the ridiculous grade, at the British Championships on Saturday, but not in the normal way. The results were ridiculous, and so was the judging. And what crazy sort of world do people live in that makes these results make sense? More agendas than a council meeting.
Weekly droner, behave yourself. Yeah, the ridiculous grade at the British Championships was interesting. We mentioned that on our wrap-up podcast. You can go back and have a listen to all of that if you wish. And of course, those summary sheets are up there now. You can go and read at them at your leisure. As for agendas, I don't know about that. I don't know. And this gets claimed every year. You know, it comes round the corner and you can see it coming from a mile away. But yeah, I would urge any armchair judge out there that if you were standing in that circle with a clipboard and you had one opportunity to listen through a performance from start to end, and then you had the job of actually accurately separating these bands, well, I wish anyone the best of luck with that task. So, yeah, as for agendas and stuff, I don't know. That's the tinfoil hat people coming back again. But, yeah, the results in Grade 2 are interesting. And we do call it the ridiculous grade for that reason. The standard in Grade 2 is, frankly, ridiculous. And we've been saying it for years. If anything, it just continues to rise. And we'll talk more about the standard across grades later on in the show, I've no doubt. But, yeah, come on. Ridiculous grade, absolutely delivered. Yeah, that's a good weekly drone there. All right, moving on. JD, give us another one, mate. I think you have another one on the shelf for us.
It's the weekly drone.
A lowly, non-grade 1 player. Hi guys. Someone suggested a week or two ago that those of us in the lower grades should just quietly celebrate our prizes at minor competitions. God forbid the peasants look above their station, right? My drone this week is about the absolute fangirling and celebrity worship aimed at the top of grade 1 and the massive double standard that comes with it. First of all, musical creativity. If a grade 1 band steps into the circle and plays a medley that pushes the boundaries, they are revered as visionary geniuses. They get applauded for being innovative and daring. But if a lower grade band dares to step even slightly outside the box or try something unconventional, they get absolutely crucified on the sheets for it. They're told to get back in their lane and stick to the formula. Why is creativity a luxury reserved only for the elite? And speaking of the elite, can we please stop pretending these top bands are just local homegrown community groups? They aren't pipe bands anymore. They're pipe brands. Look at Field Marshal Montgomery. Phenomenal, obviously, but they've got a massive contingency of players living and practicing right here in Scotland, despite being a Northern Irish band. Look at Inverary. How many of that circle are actually local or have been there from the start? These top bands have basically become merch-selling corporations that swoop in and pinch the most promising players from lower grade bands just to ensure their own ranks stay bolstered indefinitely. They aren't building talent from the ground up. They're running a talent acquisition firm. So yeah, let's stop acting like the top of grade 1 is a magical, untouchable realm of pure musical purity. It's a corporate machine, and the double standards are exhausting.
Wow. Who annoyed that weekly droner there? Whoa, okay. Now, there's many different points raised in this drum. I'm going to let the music play out when I'm thinking about it. Jeepers. Okay, where do I start with that? Well, first of all, the double standard around pushing of envelopes. Whenever bands step into the circle and they play a really daring medley selection, that does push envelopes. They get praised for it. I'm specifically talking about our top flight bands. Not always. Sometimes there has been grade 1 bands that step in there and they play that, envelope pushing medley, and they can get absolutely slated for it as well. Yeah, I've seen that happen countless times. And we've spoke about it on Fuse, we've spoke about it here in the pod, but sometimes it lands and other times, not so much. And whenever it happens, the not so much kind of times, that's when the conversation gets really muddy. And some people get into the realm of one person's art is another person's trash and vice versa. So double standards, I don't believe just exist at grassroots level. I do believe they do exist in the top flight level as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll take my licks on that one. But I do think that, if bands get slated for pushing envelopes in lower grades, they absolutely feel, that's just for them. But no, I do believe that it also happens in top flight. Even in the ridiculous grade as well. Grade 2, some of those bands push envelopes and sometimes it bites them back. So, sometimes it's not always the successful thing that, get praised. As for the hero worship kind of thing that happens in grade 1, I'm not aware of any hero worship. Yes, there is those who do get set on a pedestal as being these incredible musicians, and we talk about them all the time because they're awesome. And I guess we do sort of feed into that sometimes. We do talk about the Stuart Littles, the Stephen McWhirters, Stephen Crichtons, the Alan Tullys. You know what I mean? We mention all the names in the game, and then, we do look to these players for inspirations because they are playing in that top flight and they are pivotal figures in the piping scene. So is that hero worship? I don't know. That's a double-edged sword, that one. As for your commentary on pipe brands, now you might not have picked up the R there, but pipe brands versus pipe bands. So corporate entities that hoover up talent. Yikes. Now, you talk about a cutting sort of review of our top flight. Yes, it has been talked about that a lot of our top flight bands in grade 1 are now no longer made up of just local musicians. A lot of them have fly-in players from all around the globe. Now, you did mention Field Marshal Montgomery there. They have a very strong Scottish contingent when they are a Northern Irish band. Yes, even you mentioned Inverarian District there, but they do have a lot of fly-in players there as well, and very few locals within the ranks. That is a fair assumption. It has been in the development now for, goodness knows, 20 plus years. The issue with fly-in players versus, the employment of locals, if you want, having local talent versus getting, international blistering talent. Yeah, I can see that, and I know why people get annoyed by that. We have talked about it on the show before, about fly-in players and how that dynamic affects bands, not just in top flight, but in all grades. Fly-in players and attracting talent from all around the globe sometimes could be at the detriment to local talent. And yes, we have spoke about that in the show before. So a point well made. And as to the solution to such a problem, I don't know if it is a problem, is the thing. What we're trying to do in our top flight is strive for excellence. And if bands, reach out and offer positions within their ranks and say, hey, you're a brilliant piper / drummer / tenor drummer. Would you like to come and play with us? And if the answer is yay, well then brilliant. Come on ahead. You come on in playing and we'll see you next season. Or if the answer is no, then fair enough. The offer is there. And as for hoovering up talent, I'm not sure. I don't know. I've very rarely actually heard it where these bands have actively went out and reached out to players, made phone calls and said, hey, what are you doing next season, buddy? You should be playing with us. Normally it's the other way around, where players are reaching out to bands and asking, would there be an opportunity to come and play next season? So that's how I've heard it normally working. And then you get into the realm of auditions and things like that. And then if you're lucky, then you can earn your spot, that kind of thing. That's how I believe it works, but that could absolutely be stuff the Rab got wrong. Yeah, and I've no doubt I'll get a weekly drone on that. All right, speaking of weekly drone, we shall move on, but that was a very interesting one, if very detailed as well. All right, JD, we have another one here. This one's called Polis. What's this about?
It's the weekly drone.
Strathclyde Police. Just wanted to say how good and heartwarming it was to see Strathclyde Police back in the circle and wearing their old tartan. They sounded amazing, and to see them back in the prize list was even better.
That's the end of that one. Strathclyde Police. I think you mean the Federation. But I know what you're putting down. I get what you're putting down. A lot of people did mention about their return back to their original tartan, and a lot of people were very happy to see it back again, myself included. It was absolutely a throwback to the glory days. And hey, the band sounded fantastic, the British, and yes, it was great to see them back on the prize list. So, Strathclyde Police, Glasgow Police, Police Scotland and Federation, whatever what you want to call them. I still call them the Strathclyde Police in my head, but out loud I call them the Federation. There you go. So I don't know, it's a band with many names. There was a period of time where they kept changing names as well, which was very confusing for us pundits. But I get what you're putting down. Brilliant to see them back in the circle, and equally brilliant to see them back in the prize lists for sure. All right, JD, do you know what? This has been a heck of an intro, man, and we haven't even got to the news yet, but we still got more drones on the shelf. So I think we've got time for one more little short one. This one's called Wonderful World.
It's the weekly drone.
It's a wonderful world. In light of the criticism that the Rab Show received due to omitting bands and other activities throughout the year, in light of the internal band criticisms and bands who didn't do as well as they hoped in Edinburgh, in light of the fact that sometimes we don't blow steady, we have the occasional bad start or end, wouldn't it be wonderful if we looked at what people have done instead of what we hadn't?
Yeah, fair point, Weekly Droner. Sometimes we can get absolutely bogged down in the negativity in the piping scene instead of celebrating the positivity. So I will absolutely accept that. Yes. So thank you, JD, for that weekly drone. And yeah, thank you to our weekly droners who took time to send us in their thoughts, feelings, opinions on all things to do with the show. We do have a bunch more on the shelf, but I am going to wrap it up there at that point. That is 4 weekly drones this week? Brilliant. So, yeah, send them in to us. Go to our website, thebigrabshow.com, that big button at the top of the page, weekly drone. You can let us know your thoughts and feelings on everything. Now, I have no doubt we're going to get into even more of it whenever we start previewing our UK championships. All the ins and outs, the positives, the negatives. There's a lot of ground to cover there, and we're going to get into it in quite a huge topic. So you might find that this week's news and updates is going to be a little bit shorter as a result, because I say we've a lot of ground to cover. So, without any further ado, I'm going to take myself a wee break, but I'll be right back with all of those news and updates. Ever wish you had a piping teacher on call 24/7? Well, now you do. Introducing the Interactive Player, a game-changing new practice tool at Dojo University. Play along with world champion pipers while the notes on your sheet music light up in time. Loop tricky phrases, slow down tough sections, zoom in to focus, and build speed automatically. It's like having a teacher right in your practice room, showing you how to master every tune at your own pace. So, sign up for a free trial today at pipersdojo.com and start learning smarter with Dojo U's Interactive Player. Alrighty, let's get into the news and updates. Now, folks, I am genuinely going to have to cut a lot of stuff for the cutting room floor because we've already covered a serious amount of ground already. Now, I don't know, right, we've got a huge topic to get into as well. But the UK's so much ground to cover. And we've also got some questions to answer, thoughts and opinions, all that sort of stuff. A lot of you were tuned in to Fuse FM last night and had tons of questions asking all about the UK's, so I'm very keenly aware everyone's going to be tuning in to hear all about it. All right, so let's first of all talk about the Mid-Ulster Championships, which took place in Cookstown this past weekend. Now, conditions on the day weren't great. It was kind of on again, off again kind of weather. Very wet and miserable and horrible for a while, and then very sunny and warm, and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get sunburn, and next thing, whoosh, down came the rain again. So it was very mixed day conditions-wise, but made for a very entertaining day. Can I say this? I said this last night. A lot of people agreed with me, actually, that the standards, again, I know I keep talking about this, and I will talk about it later on in the topic, but standards are sky high, folks. I have never seen it higher, and I'll talk more about this in the topic, I've no doubt. It's in my script here. But, yeah, standards at the Mid-Ulster Championships were just something else. And, right, so we're going to get into the results, but briefly I want to mention about the venue. Cookstown High School absolutely delivered again. What a cracking good venue that is. Honestly, a lot of people have told me, actually, that's one of their favourite venues on the calendar, and I can see why. Yeah, tons of space, tons of shelter. As for catering options, portaloos, all that kind of stuff, or someone called them in a previous pod, the Thunder Boxes, the Blue Thunder Box. I love that. And so, yeah, absolutely brilliant. I don't know, it was just really well ran, stellar event, ran like clockwork, and everyone was home by dinner time. It was brilliant. So let's get into the actual results then, shall we? Starting with our drum majors, looking at towards our novice grade. Winner on the day and Mid-Ulster champion was Molly McMahon from Altnavay Memorial. Go on, Molly. In second place was Heidi Poots from Altnavay Memorial. She was second on M&D preference. In third place was Charlotte Adamson from the Major Sinclair. Go on, Charlotte. And in fourth place was Eliza Constant from Marlacu and District. And that was your novice grade. Moving on to our juniors then, a Mid-Ulster champion for 2026 was Rosie McKinstry from the RSPBA Northern Ireland. There you go. Well done, Rosie. In second place was Grace Campbell from the Queen Elizabeth Pipe Band. Well done, Grace. In third on M&D preference was Maya Lily Fraser from William Kerr Memorial. Yes, well done. And in fourth place was Willow Rose Elliott from the RSPBA NI. There you are. That's your top four finishers there for your junior grades. Moving on to our juvenile. In first place, and Mid-Ulster champion for 2026, Carrie's Graham. Yes, well done, Carrie's, from Down Pipes and Drums, of course. In second place on M&D Preference was Lydia Todd from McNeilstown. Well done, Lydia. In third place was Georgia Turkington from the Matt Boyd Memorial. Go on, Georgia. And in fourth place was Debbie Gilmer from the Altnavay Memorial. Now, again, we're starting to see prizes being awarded here on M&D Preference here. Look, there's Lydia Todd, second place on M&D. Back into her juniors, we had our third place finisher, Maya Lily Fraser, was on M&D. Heidi Putz placed second in the novice on M&D. So M&D's coming through clutch here for a lot of our drum majoring action, which tells you just how close the margins are. Yeah. But whenever I'm talking about M&D Preference, well, all you need to do is look at the Mid-Ulster Drum Major finals for our drum major adults, and it's an M&D Preference all over the place. So it's kicking things off then, and Mid-Ulster champion on M&D Preference for 2026, Cara Gilmer. Woo! Go on, Cara. Yeah, Cara Gilmer from the Queen Elizabeth Pipe Band lifted the top spot on M&D Preference. There you go. And in second place, again on M&D Preference, was Charlotte Ruddock from Battle Hill. Go on, Charlotte. Yes. And in third place was Louis Anderson from New Rawson District. Well done. And in fourth place, again on M&D Preference, was Louise Smighton from Closkelt. Go on, Louise. And in fifth place then was Jamie Couples. And that was your 5 competitive adult drum majors there in the final. So again, I'm telling you just how small the margins are. Like, our top 3 finishers all had a total point of 4. So they all had 4 points each, and then they split them on M&D Preference. Yeah. Crazy. So the M&D Preference comes through clutch. So it's vitally important, this M&D thing. And this is what I'm seeing. The margins in our drum majoring world are razor thin right now. And you can go back and have a look at some of the summary sheets as well. The full listings there. I know I've mentioned just the top 4 and some of those grades, but you can go back and reach the full summary sheets, and you can see for yourself how slim the margins are and how important that M&D Preference can be for our drum majoring action. So I don't know. It's so competitive right now. It's so enjoyable too. Now, I know it's not enjoyable for those drum majors that are in there trying to get through those razor thin margins and win. It's so competitive, but very enjoyable from a spectator point of view. Yeah. So there you go. Congratulations to Cara Gilmer, of course, lifting the adult grade there. Well done. Carrie's Graham, of course, lifting juvenile. Rosie McKinstry lifting the juniors, and of course to Molly McMahon lifting the novice. There you go. Well done to all of you drum majors. Moving on to our bands then, kicking things off in Grade 4B and Mid-Ulster champion for 2026, Tully Lagan. Yeah! Go on, the Lagan. And they managed to lift that top spot in Ensemble Preference. They also managed to lift the drumming on the day as well. So well done, Tully Lagan. Now, unfortunately, I was not competing with Tully Lagan on the weekend. Unfortunately, I was unwell. Yeah, so I did not manage to make it into the circle. I know, but hi, I'm so chuffed for the Tully Lagan. What a great result there. Yeah, well done, guys. Moving on, well, in second place were Hollymount. And if anything, they had 2 firsts in piping, so congratulations, Hollymount there. Great result. In third place, we had Brady Ulster Scots. They again had a clinker of a run, actually with a first in ensemble there, but finishing third overall. But yeah, it's such an entertaining run. In fourth place, then, we had the Joseph Ford Memorial Pipe Band. Yeah. Again, the Wild West in Grade 4B. Man, I don't know. Such a competitive grade. So as I said there, best pipes on the day went to Hollymount. As I mentioned, 2 firsts in piping. Drumming went to Tully Lagan. Best bass section also went to Tully Lagan. And M&D went to Tully Lagan as well. So there you go. Not a bad weekend's work there. So well done to everyone in 4B. An ultra competitive grade. And very enjoyable stuff there. Well done. All right, moving on. Grade 4A then on the day. And Mid-Ulster champion for 2026, Moneygore. Yes. Now, Moneygore done so with such a convincing win. It was kind of silly. It was such a good run. Wow. I was really suitably impressed. I did go back and have a listen to the recording. Didn't manage to see them in person. Heard them outside the circle and they were singing, but I didn't hear them inside. That's on me. I was filming 4B at the time. Moneygore lifted the top spot with ones right across the board. 2 first in piping, first in drumming, ensemble. They lifted the M&D and bass section as well. A convincing win for Moneygore. Congratulations. Yeah. In second place was Ballybriest. Go Team Briest. Brilliant. There you go. Brilliant to see you back in the circle and in the prizes. Excellent. In third place, we had Cawtown. Yeah. What a clinker of a run as well. Yeah. In fourth place was Letterkenny in districts as well. Brilliant to see Letterkenny in the mix there. Yeah, again, another very entertaining grade. So many good performances. I don't know. So many good drum corps as well, I'm going to say. Grade 4A, yeah, I'm paying attention to your drum corps. There's a lot of good action in there. But yeah, congratulations to Moneygore. Such a stellar run. Well done. Mid-Ulster champion. Moving on to grade 3B on the day, and they did draw quite a crowd, actually, whenever they were rehearsing in the final tuning. I did notice quite an influx of people standing around them. Our Mid-Ulster champions for 2026 in grade 3B, Black Raven. Yo! Go on, the Black Raven. Yeah, as I said, they did draw quite a huge crowd. A lot of people wanted to see the Black Raven, and lifted the top spot. They actually lifted a first in ensemble, so there you go. Well done, Black Raven. In second place was Upper Cross Gar, and they lifted the second spot with 2 firsts in piping, so they actually lifted the piping on the day. Well done, Upper Cross Gar. In third place was New Ross in District. Well done, New Ross. They actually finished third, but managed to lift the best bass section as well, so well done, New Ross. Yeah. And in fourth place was Down Pipes and Drums, and they finished in fourth spot, managed to lift the drumming as well, so well done. There you go. So, folks, that grade 3B bracket, again, an ultra-competitive grade. A lot of great performances in there for sure. But yeah, shout out to the Black Raven and deserved Mid-Ulster champions. Well done. Moving on to grade 3A. Now for me personally, I believe this was the most competitive grade on the day. I had a lot of good fun listening back to these recordings and man, was it something else. So let's go. Grade 3A Mid-Ulster champions for 2026. The Matt Boyd Memorial. Yes. Now they lifted that top spot on ensemble preference. Oh, now we're starting to see the EP creeping in. There you go. So yeah, well done to the Matt Boyds. And in second place, very close second actually, we're equal on points, was the Major Sinclair Memorial on second there. Well done. I should mention also the Matt Boyd managing to lift the drumming as well as best bass section as well. So there you go. So the Major Sinclair actually lifted the piping as well. So finishing second there. Well done to the Major Sinclair. In third place was McNeilstown Pipe Band. Yes, a great showing from McNeilstown actually. Really enjoyed their set. So well done, McNeilstown. In fourth place was Clough-Finn. Now they were first on the line on the day. It's always a difficult spot. I do believe that they were playing in some inclement weather. But, hey, always a pleasure to see Clough-Finn hit the grass, for sure. There you go. So, folks, an ultra-competitive grade on the day in grade 3A. So much good tunes played in there. It was kind of ridiculous. One band I did want to shout out that was finished in 5th spot overall on the day was Kildogue. Now, Kildogue suitably impressed me on the day. And the reason I'm talking about them is because they played a tune marching into the final tuning. And the sound of that band coming down the hill, we call it Pipe Band Hill, they come down from that and through the gate into final tuning. For those of you who were at the venue, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, the tunes that they were playing coming down the hill made everyone stand at the arena turn around and look to see, who is that? And they go, wow, it's Kildogue. Jakers, they're sounding good. And man, did they sound good. Oof. Something else. So well done, Kildogue. Suitably impressed me at the weekend. Big sound and a good tune played in the circle. Well done, everyone. So there you go. Shout out to the Matt Boyd Memorial. Deserved of the win, of course. And shout out to their drum corps as well, who were absolutely clicking at the weekend there. So Mid-Ulster champions, grade 3A. Well done. Moving on to our grade 2 competition. Now, we had 2 grade 2 bands in here. We had Manor Cunningham and Tullylagan in the mix, but we also had a number from 3A who were playing up. So let's go through the results, though. Who picked up the Mid-Ulster Championship in grade 2? It was Manor Cunningham. I don't know why you started cheering before I announced it, but there you go. Yeah, shout out to Manor Cunningham. They done so quite convincingly with ones right across the board. So well done to Manor. Great run. If you haven't heard it yet, go and listen. Such a pleasure to listen to. It was just brilliant. Also in second place then was Tullylagan. Go on, the Lagan. There you go. I'll give you a shout out. So, yeah, shout out to Tullylagan. Really strong performance. and just ultra competitive in the ridiculous grade. In third place was the Matt Boyd Memorial. Go on, Matt Boyd. And done themselves proud. A real strong run in there in grade 2. In fourth place then on the day, as I've mentioned, were a band that really suitably impressed me, Kildog. Yeah, again, with that big tone. Phew, that was something else. So well done to Kildog, finishing in fourth place there in grade 2. Now, there was a grade 1 on the day. It's not really a competition as such, just more of a showcase. Shout out to Ravara Pipe Band, who stepped into the circle and played for Sheets. Yeah. So, yeah, not much of a contest, I guess, but still, great to see them in that circle and see them stretching their legs ahead of what is the second major in the calendar. It's great to see them have a bit of a run out there. So, if you do want to catch those performances, by the way, they are up there now on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel. And again, thank you to the Mid-Ulster branch and to the Northern Ireland branch as well. And, we managed to get some really blistering great performances. So, those recordings are up there now on our website. Go and check them out. All right, also aware that this past weekend there was a competition in Markinch. Now, unfortunately, we did have plans to attend at Markinch, but unfortunately things fell through and life happens and we weren't able to make it. So, let's go through the results here briefly from the Markinch competition. Starting with Novice Juvenile B, winners on the day were the Edinburgh Academy. In second place was the High School of Dundee, and in third place was Burnt Island and District. That's your Novice B. Moving on to Grade 4B then on the day. Quite a small grade here, only 4 bands in total, but lifting the top spot in Markinch were the Queensferry Pipes and Drums. Yes, well done. They also lifted the drumming as well. First in ensemble as well, so quite a convincing win there. In second place was the Uddingston Strathclyde. Yeah, they actually split the piping on the day with their first place finisher, the Queensferry Pipes and Drums. So yeah, great weekend's work there. Shout out to the Uddingston Strathclyde, second place finisher in 4B. In third place was Kincardine and District. Yes, well done, Kincardine. And in fourth place was the Aelith in District, and that was your Grade 4B. Moving on to Grade 4A and Novice Juvenile A combined. Winner on the day was Kirkcaldy in District. 2 firsts in piping, first in ensemble, quite a convincing win there. Well done, Kirkcaldy. In second place in ensemble preference was the High School of Dundee. Yes, well done. In third place was Lochgilly High School, Novice A, of course, well done. And in fourth place was the City of St Andrews. Now, the City of St Andrews may have finished in fourth place, but they also lifted the drumming on the day. So, quite a good result there for the drum corps. Shout out to the City of St Andrews. Great weekend's work there. Moving on to Grade 3 and Juvenile Grade combined. Winner on the day was Burnt Island and District. They done so quite convincingly, with ones right across. 2 firsts in piping, drumming, ensemble. Yeah, lifted that top spot there in Grade 3. Second place finisher on the day was Methil in District. Well done. And third place was Govan, of course, from Grade 3B, competing in there. And in fourth place was Lochgilly High School Juvenile Band. There you are, and that was your Grade 3. Moving on to the ridiculous grade, well, we didn't actually have any Grade 2 bands in the circle. We had a number play up from Grade 3, and winners on the day were Burnt Island and District. Again, 2 firsts in piping, drumming, ensemble, swept the boards again. So Burnt Island and District, keep an eye on them. Had a really successful weekend there at Markinch competition. Fantastic. All right. Also, I'm aware there was a competition held in Girvan. Now, again, we didn't get to this one. That's on us. But let's briefly go through the results. Starting with Grade 4B, we had the First Troon Boys Brigade picked up the top spot there. Well done. In second place was Dean Castle Pipes and Drums. Yeah. In third place was Irvine and District, and in fourth was Troon Blackrock. Now, we didn't have an ensemble judge, but I believe that the second place finisher was placed in second on piping preference. Yeah, so there we go. That's an interesting dynamic, that one. Moving on to Grade 4A then, and winners on the day, well, we had 2 Grade 4B bands playing up in 4A. The winner on the day was Troon Blackrock. In second place was Irvine and District. There you go. We did have a Grade 3, and we're only 1 Grade 3 band in the circle, and that was Williamwood. So Williamwood picked up the top spot there, because we're only 1 in the grade. And that was the competition in Girvan. Now, we're also well aware that there was a competition held in Innerleithen, and talk about a competition of interest. Yeah. So many great performances in the circle here. And we did manage to get a Rab Show team member at this one, and we do have some of those videos now up on our YouTube channel from the Innerleithen competition. You can go and check all of those out if you are anyways curious. Let's go through the results, starting with Novice Juvenile B. Winner on the day was George Watson's College, Novice B. Second on the day was Preston Lodge High, and they were novice juvenile Bs West. So that's your novice grade. Moving on to grade 4B then. Winner on the day was Stockbridge. Now, we only had two 4B bands in here because our second place finisher was Dunbar RBL. You are their development band. There you go. So well done, Stockbridge. Winner of 4B. Moving on to 4A then. Winner on the day, we had George Watson's College Novice B, who played up, and they picked up the top spot. Also lifted the drumming as well. So well done, George Watson's. In second place was Barhead and Districts in 4A. There you go. And in third place was the Preston Lodge High School. On the PL. Good stuff. In fourth place was McDougall, McQueen, Pennycook and District. Now, apparently I pronounced this incorrectly on last week's show, so I have to...
Stuff the Rab got wrong.
Yeah, I think I pronounced it completely incorrectly on last week's show, but it's Pennycook and District, not Pennywick. I think that's how I pronounced it last time. Completely wrong. My apologies. So McDougall, McQueen, Pennycook and District in fourth place there in grade 4A. There you go. Moving on to grade 3 then. Winners on the day, and it was George Watson's College Juvenile Band, and done so quite convincingly with ones right across. First some piping, drumming ensemble. They lifted the lot. Well done, George Watson's. In second place was the Preston Lodge High School. Well done, PL. And in third place was Tweedville. And in fourth place then, we actually had our grade 4A band play up in grade 3, was McDougall, McQueen, Pennycook and District. There you go. That was your grade 3. Moving on to the ridiculous grade. Well, we didn't have any grade 2 bands in the circle, unfortunately, but we did have our 2 juvenile bands who played up. And, winner on the day was George Watson's College Juvenile Band. Yes, again, with ones right across the board. Well done. In second place was Preston Lodge. Go on, the PL. So, from quite a busy weekend of piping and drumming, we've done our best to cover what we can. And I know a lot of people have plenty of complaints. A lot of people were concerned that we weren't at Mark Inch, we weren't at Girvan, and that we could only split ourselves in so many different directions. And this is what I'm going to put in at this point in the news and updates. If there is a competition that you absolutely want or need us to cover, then please do contact us in advance. We had a number of people contact us on the actual day saying, "Hi, Rab, can you film insert band here because I can't make it." Oh, right, okay, what time are they playing? Oh, they're playing in like 20 minutes. Wait, okay, well, number one, we don't have anyone arranged to be at the competition, but had we have known that there was a genuine interest to film at that event, then we might have planned ahead and hopefully had someone there to attend. So, yeah, we had a team member at Innerleithen. We had most of the Rab Show team was at Cookstown for the Mid-Ulsters. You might have seen all of that coverage. And so as for the other ones, for Girvan and, I don't know. We've done our best. We are a team of volunteers and we can only split ourselves so many different ways. And we can't please everyone, I guess. So, folks, if you are in any ways able to help us on the Big Rab Show and you do fancy being a part of the team, and perhaps you are living even internationally right now and you're saying, "Ugh, Rab never covers piping where I live." Well, help us cover piping where you live. For example, this weekend, we're very aware that it is the Pretoria Highland Games happening in South Africa. Now, our Big Rab Show team member, Siobhan Nadia, has all sorts of brilliant plans to cover things as best that she can at that event. However, she is also a competitor. She will be in the circle, thumping out tunes, trying to win a trophy. So, whenever she's in there, playing a tenor drum, she can absolutely not be there holding a camera and filming performances at the same time. So, I don't know. We try to stress this on previous shows that we are all competitors in the Rab Show team, and we do our best to coordinate time so we can catch as many performances inside and outside the circle as possible. It's an incredibly busy day for all Rab Show team members. And, it has come to pass that we have come to the conclusion that we just simply can't please everybody. We're going to do our best on the day of a competition. Number one, our focus would be with our band. We're there to try and win a prize with our bandmates, produce the best performance possible in the circle. And then everything else outside of that, can we film every performance, every drum major, every tune in the tuning circle, whatever, then that all comes after that. So hopefully that makes sense. And if you are able or willing to help us in the Big Rab Show team cover any future event, wherever you're living right now, it doesn't just have to be in the UK. It could be anywhere. And we absolutely want to hear from you. All right, this is going to be quite a huge season. We said this in our 2026 preview. We did put the call out for volunteers, but we got very few back. So if you do want to help us, email us in, bigrabshow@gmail.com, and say, hi, Rab, I'm going to an event this weekend, next weekend, whatever, and I can point a camera at something for you. Well, then we'd love to hear from you. All right, there you go. Just going to leave that there and walk away. So, folks, I think we've covered a serious amount of ground already, and I'm very aware that a lot is going to hit the cutting room floor. We haven't even had an opportunity to talk about what Lincoln Hilton has been up to. My advice is just to go and follow Lincoln Hilton on his socials. He is churning out the goodness over there. Wow. As for the Pipe Band Predictor app, yes, we do have our own group as well over there on the Pipe Band Predictor app. Yeah. So if you do want to join us here on the Big Rab Show team, we do have our own grouping where you can join in and potentially defeat all of us. I am well down the pecking order when it comes to the prediction app. So, yeah, we've shared out the code a bunch of times. So if you do want to join us over there, go on ahead. Good luck, and you can laugh at all of us then whenever you defeat us all in the Big Rab Show League. Let me see if I'm actually going to try and find the code for you here. All right, yeah, found it. It's JCWUVET. There you are. I had no idea that was kind of like an auto-generated one, and that's just what we got. So that's our code. If you do want to join the Big Rab Show League on the Pipe Band Predictor app, go to JCWUVET, and apparently it's now available for Android as well as Apple users. So there you go. So get your predictions in for this weekend's UK Championships and join the Big Rab Show League. That'll be a bit of crack there. Also, I have to give a shout out to the Field Marshal Montgomery, who have a full new lineup of sweet, sweet merch available, and they actually do have some discounts on at the moment too. So yeah, if you are anyways curious about picking up some Field Marshal merch, go and grab it now. Go and visit their website. Apparently the Impact CD, you remember the double album that they released from the concert hall? Well, apparently it's on sale. They're now available for about 12 quid, and that's a double album. So there you go. Shout out to the Field Marshal Montgomery. Go and check out all of their merchandise and all of those discounts for Field Marshal fans. Yeah, there's plenty on offer there. Right. Folks, I'm going to wrap it up here at this point with all the news. I know there's a serious amount of other stuff that I should be talking about, but we need to fly on. Otherwise, this podcast is going to be hours and hours and hours long at this point. So I think it's this point I should go and get myself a big cup of tea. It's time for the topic of the week.
Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies for all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Ghillie Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs. Marchify, the brand new home of Flam 5 drumming. Check out their brand new Strike bagpipe case, inspired by their colourful, popular and reliable Flam 5 drum cases. The Strike bagpipe case combines durability, style and practicality, protecting every movement. Shop now at marchify.co.uk with worldwide shipping available. Marchify, every movement protected.
Hello, this is Kerr McQuillan, and you're listening to The Big Rab Show.
Alrighty, time for topic of the week. And where am I even going to begin? With our second major in the calendar, the UK Championships. First of all, I guess I'm quite happy to see another major here in Northern Ireland. It's back again after a bit of an absence. So that in itself is a huge positive for folks on this side of the Irish Sea. However, we've got a lot to talk about with regards to this one because it's a change of venue, a change of organising team behind the scenes, and there's been some decisions along the road that a lot of bands folk are very upset about. So we need to talk about that even before we get into talking about the action in the circle. So, for those of you who've been following the news, I'm sure by now you've possibly seen there's been a lot of civil unrest here currently within Northern Ireland and the greater Belfast area as well. And that's raised a lot of concern from bands folk as to whether the UK Championships was even going to go ahead. Now, we've seen joint statements recently, well, just today at the point of me recording this, from the Royal Scottish Pipe Band Association and the Ulster Scots Agency, and they talk about this situation. They emailed every band, and let's go through this statement first of all. It says, "Dear Band Secretary," because that's who the email would have went to, "we appreciate that the recent unrest in Belfast has given rise to a number of concerns, and we have shared many of those concerns ourselves." Yeah. So earlier today, being today, the 10th of June, said, I spoke with the PSNI to discuss the current situation within the city and to assess any potential impact on the major pipe band championship. During our conversation, the PSNI, I should explain that's the Police Service of Northern Ireland, that's the acronym, PSNI, advised that a number of large-scale events are scheduled to take place in Belfast this weekend and that no other events have been cancelled. Now, that's encouraging. Goes on to say he specifically highlighted a march involving approximately 30 bands taking place in close proximity to the areas affected by unrest, which is proceeding as planned. There you are. Just wanting to throw that out there, so it kind of gives us a bit of an encouragement to say the UK Championships will certainly be taking place. He goes on to say the PSNI further advised that there has been no unrest in the Grove Park area and that the nature of our event is not connected to, nor the focus of, the issues currently affecting parts of the city. Based on their experience of managing similar situations, they expressed the view that the unrest is likely to subside over the coming days. Now, that's reassuring as well. Moving on, it goes on to say, to provide additional reassurance to competitors, officials and spectators, there will be an increased police presence both within and around the park throughout the event. In light of the information provided and the advice received from the Police Service of Northern Ireland, we intend to proceed with the championship as planned, unless otherwise directed by the Police Service of Northern Ireland. We recognise that many bands must make important decisions regarding travel to Northern Ireland, and we hope that this update assists you in doing so with greater confidence. Yours sincerely, Colin Mulhern, Chief Executive. Now, whenever that got published today, I have to say that was a huge relief. To see such openness, such transparency, and active communication with the membership like this has never happened before. Now, it has happened with other events sporadically, but the sheer amount of information that was provided back then was extremely limited. Normally, you would have got a statement to say, the UK's is going ahead, folks, as normal. And that would have been it. You wouldn't have got anything else. But here, within this statement from Colin himself, he talks about the conversations he's had behind the scenes, the advice that he got from the PSNI, and the reasoning that went into that decision-making process that absolutely opened the doors and let everybody see, well, yeah, this is fair enough. They have taken on all of the different reasonings and events happening and different considerations, and they're content to proceed as planned. So I hope that settles a lot of nerves. There was a lot of very anxious people out there whenever they were seeing the news over the last few days of all of the civil unrest and all of the craziness that's been happening. And people just very concerned about travelling to Northern Ireland. So hopefully this statement that's been received from the RSPBA at the point of me recording this and the advice received from the Police Service of Northern Ireland, well, it's very reassuring to say that this event will be continuing as normal, and we can get into the rest of this week's topic of the week. So let's start with all of that then, shall we? Well, this major championship is a joint venture between the Royal Scottish Pipe Band Association headquarters and the Ulster Scots Agency here in Northern Ireland. Now, that raised some eyebrows initially because it meant that our own Northern Ireland branch of the RSPBA were not involved in the organising of this event. So it was between headquarters and the Ulster Scots Agency, who appeared to be the muscle behind everything to make it all move. And as a result, well, we have what we have now, and we're going to go through some of the details. First of all, let's talk about the venue of the Grove playing fields. Now, This is a part of North Belfast that is quite urban. If anything, it's surrounded by residential areas, and as a result, has extremely limited parking. And that was one of the first topics of conversation once this venue was announced. Everyone was wondering, where am I going to park my car? Well, as it turns out, the RSPBA didn't really let us know until maybe 2 weeks before the event actually was due to happen. So they put out a publication on their website to say, hey, here is all the official parking for this weekend's UK Championships. Now, to say that it's confusing would be an understatement. And for locals, it's confusing. And so if it's confusing for us who live here, imagine what it'll be like for folk traveling here. Anyway, so they've picked out 4 or 5 different areas around Belfast where you can park your car and then travel to the venue. Yeah. So the main car park itself is on Duncrew Street. Now, it's said here that the car park in Duncrew Street is about 12 minutes walk. Okay, the next car park is in York Street, which is at Right Price, which is a business. And again, another short walk, apparently. Another one is in Jennymount Business Park, North Derby Street. You get in the picture. There's another one at Teletech, which is another business in Ellington Street. Kind of scattered all around that part of the city. And we're going to get into the accessible parking as well at the Elam Church there in Alexander Park Avenue. Anyway, suffice to say, there are loads of little car parks dotted all around the place. And all of these car parks needed to be pre-booked in advance using the Eventbrite website, where people had to pay £10 per car to secure your spot in that car park. Right, so this got people up in arms because a lot of these car parks are quite a distance away. Now, I mean quite a distance away. You're talking at least a good long walk. Anyway, I'm not going to put a time on it because everyone walks at different speeds. But yeah, the car parking situation, let's face it, it's a bit of a disaster. But I think that's incumbent of where it is in Greater Belfast. As I said, it's in quite a residential area, and then there's a lot of business parks and places like that. And thankfully here, we're starting to see a lot of those businesses actually open their staff car parks to pipe-in fans over the weekend. So they are charging us for the privilege, however, a tenner a car. There you go. Now, there's also been tons of questions asked about motorhome car parking, of which I don't believe there is any provided. Motorhome parking will be at the Right Price car park, but you're not allowed to park overnight. There you go. So if you're planning on camping in Belfast, then you're out of luck. As for the accessible parking, that's another story in itself. Alexander Park Avenue is not exactly close to the venue, but it's as close as they could get, I guess. But this, again, had to be pre-booked, £10 per car, and you also had to have your blue disabled badge. And this one, the accessible parking, filled up within 5 minutes of the tickets being launched. I'm not even joking. As soon as I seen the ad being launched, hey, book your parking, I think I finished doing what I was doing. I think I was making tea at the time. Go surprise. And then opened my phone again, went to click on it to see what's the score, is there any spots left? And no, they were gone. It was crazy how fast they went. So the car parking is a huge situation that I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more people talk about over the course of this weekend. My advice is, if you are going to the UKs, I know you're listening to this now as a full preview, I guess. Well, we'll talk about the bands, I promise. But the venue itself is controversial because, of the extremely limited parking. So that's the situation that we're in. You've been told about where all your official car parks are. My advice is pre-book your spot. Don't just turn up on the morning and expect to get in. You do need to pre-book those all-important car park spots. And then you have to be prepared to go walking with your brogues. There you go. Right, so, not everyone has to walk, mind you. There is a shuttle bus going to be provided from the official car park at Duncrew Street. They're seeing this as the main parking spot, but it is quite a distance away, so they've come up with the free shuttle bus idea. We've seen that been done at plenty of other competitions before, and we've been mindful of how successful that has been. Anyway, so whenever people are bringing kiddos with buggies and prams and pushchairs and all the accoutrement that you need to bring with kids. Well, let's have a thought for all of our pipers and drummers who need to lug instruments on and off of buses. And yeah, in some cases, we'll be trekking through Belfast streets for quite a while until they actually reach the venue. Yeah. So let's talk about gazebos briefly as well. I know for other championships, of course, there has been arrangements in place where bands are able to get their gazebos into the arena. There have been actually some allocated gazebo passes where you're allowed in through the gate with your van, your car, whatever. You can load everything off and then you can go and park somewhere. So, yeah, those passes were invaluable for a lot of the bands that were loading gear in to establish a bit of a band gazebo for the day. Well, I have no details on any such arrangements for the loading in of equipment. Now, as to what that will bring in the morning of the major championship, I can only see it being absolute chaos. This is just my predictions. I have visions of loads of bands turning up in the morning and trying to load in all of their equipment, their gazebos, their instruments, all of that in the morning, and being told they're not allowed to park and they need to move on. So there'll be a lot of people of dumping gear out onto the pavement and then having to drive somewhere else. Yikes. So how exactly that's going to work, I have no idea, but I'm very keen to see how it's all going to work out. Now, I've been told that there will be a security team in place and they will be helping people on the day to load in, to load out in the evening, and also for all of your car parking needs as well. There'll be plenty of people there in high-vis helping people out on the day as best they can. So that's what I've been told. I'm telling you folks now as well. Plenty of volunteers on the ground and people who are employed, and it's their job to help you. So my advice, go along to the RSPBA website. Full details about all of this parking carry-on that is up there now on the site. And, plan ahead. Pre-book stuff. You know, your access tickets if you're going as a spectator, or if you're going as a player, then do make sure you have your parking sorted, because the last thing you want to do is to get held up and not actually be ready to hit the line on time just because you couldn't find a parking spot. That would be an absolute nightmare. Anyway, I'm going to briefly mention buses, band coaches, and stuff like that. Yes, I've been told that band buses and coaches, they also don't have parking anywhere near the venue. So what buses have been instructed to do is to empty at the venue. They're allowed to drop everyone off along with all of their equipment, their instruments, their gear, their uniforms. All of that gets dropped off in the morning. And then the buses drive to a completely different part of the city. Well, in fact, at Belfast Zoo, I've been told, which is quite a distance away from where the venue is. So the bus will drop you off in the morning, and then it's gone for the whole day. And then apparently in the evening, the buses will all queue up and pick everyone back up in the evening. So not ideal. So if you're hoping to sort of leave your bags on the coach and stuff and visit it throughout the day, you haven't got that option. So buses are going to be parking in a completely separate part of the city. So, yeah, it's complex. All right. Now, I understand that. And if it's confusing for me as a local, like I said, it's going to be confusing for everyone traveling. So my advice, as I said, plan in advance wherever possible. All right. Right. All of that's now covered. All right. And I have no doubt we're going to talk a pile more about this in next week's pod as we're going to wrap up everything from the UK's. But I'm going to get into the music, and then I'm going to give you my final thoughts on my hopes for this weekend. So let's talk music, shall we? First of all, let's talk about the playing requirements, shall we? Yes. Well, of course, from 4A, 4B, Novice Juvenile B, all the playing requirements remain the same. They don't change. But for the juvenile grade for this weekend in the UK Championships, it's medley. Yes, for grade 3, then A and B, it's MSR competition for the grade 3s. For grade 2, it's medley competition. So that will be interesting because, our grade 2 started off the year in Edinburgh, of course, with an MSR draw on the line. So now we're going to see some medley action from grade 2. That's exciting. So moving on to grade 1 then, well, we've already started with our medleys. So now it's an MSR. Yeah. So this one, I believe, is the big MSR, as it's called. So a minimum of 4-part tunes. So it's the big MSRs this weekend for the UK's. I'm expecting to see some fireworks in grade 1. We're going to talk about that in a sec. All right. let's get on to the bands then, finally. I think we've covered some ground, haven't we, already? Cheapers. All right, I want to briefly talk about the drum majoring action. First of all, before we do get into our bands, let's have a look at our junior drum majors for the UK Championships. You talk about a list of drum majors here. Like, there's 6 heats here for our drum majors. This is crazy. It's such a big entry for a major championship, which is so encouraging. It's just really good. So, yeah, I'm not going to mention all of you, but yeah, seeing how many of you are in there and how it takes 6 different heats to get through all of our juniors, yeah, best of luck to all of you. Yeah, that's quite a huge entry there. Looking at our juvenile grade, we have 3 heats in total for that. So again, quite a respectable entry for our juvenile grade. Best of luck, everyone. And again, similar to our adults, again, 3 heats for our adult grade. So, yeah, looking at the amount of entries for our drum majoring action, it's going to be very hotly contested this weekend. I'm very keen to see how it's all going to shake down. There's a lot of names in both the juvenile, adult, and junior that are jumping out to me in the page and saying, Rab, give me a shout, give me a shout. But I'm not going to do that, all right? I'm not going to do that. But just good luck to all of you. Yeah, I'm by no means an expert in drum majoring, but I'm very keen to learn more. And yeah, the first major of the season certainly set out the stall for a lot of our drum majoring action. And I have no doubt that this incoming weekend will be much more of the same. Standards will be crazy high. And one thing that I think that will affect drum majoring, of course, is the conditions. Now, weather this week here in Northern Ireland has been kind of on and off, if you know what I mean. It's been really warm and sunny one minute and then absolutely lashing it down with rain the next. It's been kind of crazy. You know, our country is a bit mad that way. If you don't like the weather, you wait 5 minutes and it changes. That kind of thing. So, yeah, especially at the Mid-Ulsters, like we mentioned this earlier about, you know, the conditions, about how bands could be playing in an absolute deluge and then the other ones are coming off with sunburn. It's crazy. Anyway, so that could be the story for this weekend's UK's. We just don't know. Yeah, so hopefully Mother Nature will sort us out for, yeah, dry weather at least. But, yeah, good luck to all of our drum majors. Hopefully the conditions are favourable for you. I am very curious to see where the drum major arena is going to be in the layout of the park in relation to all the rest of the action that's happening. With so many different circles to run at the same time, it's going to be a challenge. So, yeah, I'm going to be very interested in our drum majoring action this weekend. So good luck to all of you. Okay, let's get into our bands now. Come on. Wait, what? Yes, I've finally got there. Let's get into the bands. Starting with Novice Juvenile B, we have 3 bands in here. So small entry for Novice Juvenile. We have Dollar Academy kicking things off at 10:30 in the morning, followed by Burnt Island and District, and then St. Columbus School, Kilmacombe. There you go. So that's the 3, taking the trip across for Novice Juvenile B. There you are. So not a huge grade, but I dare say will be very entertaining nonetheless because all 3 bands, yeah, have already been churning out some big tunes, so excited to see them. Yeah. Moving on to Novice Juvenile A, we have 6 bands in here. We have the High School of Dundee kicking things off at 11:30 in the morning, followed by Preston Lodge. Go on, the PL. There you go. Then we have St. Columbus School, Kilmacombe, followed by Lochgilly High School Junior. Then we have George Watson's and Dollar, finishing things off at 12:10 in the afternoon. There you go. So that's your Novice Juvenile A. 6 bands, quite respectable. Again, that is going to be a very entertaining grade in there with a lot of bands that I've already read out this season so far. I know it's early doors. This is only the 2nd major, but this one's going to be, yeah, very keenly fought. You know, looking at what happened in Edinburgh with Novice A, it's a bit of a battleground, that one. Yeah, so good luck to everyone there. All 6 of those bands on their day can absolutely thump a tune, so best of luck to all of you. All right, let's get on to the Wild West then, shall we? Oh, grade 4B. Now, we've been calling this jokingly the Wild West because it absolutely is the Wild West. Any one of these bands could thump a tune and smack you in the teeth and win the thing. And that's the beauty of 4B. So let's get into it. We have quite a small grade, actually, for a major championship here in 4B with 10 bands entered to play. Starting at 10:30 in the morning, we have Joseph Ford Memorial, followed by the McDonald Memorial. Then we have the Gorey Pipe Band, followed by the City of Limerick. Yes, we have Breedy Ulster Scots. Then we have my own band, woohoo, go on the lagging, at 10 past 11. And then we have Down Academy. Then we have Hollymount, Uddingston, Strathclyde are making the trip. And we have Kilbarkin as well coming across. There you go. So, again, a lot of bands in there I've already read out this season. And I meant what I said. This grade is absolutely the Wild West. And it's so much fun to play in. I mean that, because you just don't know. Any one of these 10 bands on their day can absolutely sing. I've heard some brilliant performances from bands in here already this season, and it's hotting up to be a very competitive grade. So to everyone in there, all 10 of you, best of luck. Now, obviously, I'm hoping to be in the circle this weekend, so shout out to the Lagan. But also, there's tons of other bands in there, I can absolutely... Oh, man. There's too many of you. All right, so I'm just going to give you a shout to all of you. All 10 bands. I've already mentioned some of you already this season in the prize lists, and this is going to be an entertaining weekend, I have no doubt. So best of luck to all 10 of you in the Wild West. That's going to be fun right there. All right, moving on to Grade 4A. Again, another disappointing entry for a major championship, but we have 10 bands in here in total. Kicking things off at 1:45 in the afternoon, we have Money Gore. Yes, followed by Ballybreast. The Queen Elizabeth Pipe Band are next. Then we have Grantia, followed by Altnavay Memorial. Marlacoo Pipe Band. We also have Cullen. Yes. We also have Letterkenny and District, Cottown, and Cargaline. There you are. There's quite a number of bands in here that have been newly upgraded. Shout out to the Queen Elizabeth Pipe Band in there, juking it out. And shout out to Money Gore in particular. They've been really thumping some big tunes this season. So, yeah, really entertaining stuff. And again, I know I keep saying this, but it is just so good to see Ballybreast back in the circle again. I know they've now played a few competitions at this stage, but I'm still just so happy to see them. But yes, absolutely plenty of music in this. Do you know... Right, I'm going to give a shout out to Cottown's drum corps. Actually, very impressive stuff. Really enjoyed their run at Cookstown, actually. Very, very good. A band I haven't heard yet. Now, this is on me, Cargaline. I haven't heard them yet, so I am going to actively look for some recordings of them. Or perhaps is this their first appearance in the circle? I don't know. That absolutely could be. It could well be. Yeah, so if it is, forgive me. But if you do have any recordings of them, send them my way. I'd love to see them. So, Grade 4A, again, another equally very tight and competitive grade in there. 10 bands in total, and any one of those 10 on their day can absolutely cook. And I'm very excited to see how it's all going to shake down there in 4A. Brilliant stuff. Now, I know people's going to complain, Rab, would you get off the fence? But seriously, 4B and 4A, all bands entered in both those grades are... I can't pick any at the moment. Honestly, it's too early in the season, and whenever you start getting into the realms of predictions and stuff, it's way too early in the season, So this is only the second major in the calendar. It's a great opportunity for bands to get in that circle, start swinging, and you just don't know who's going to come out on top, and it's brilliant to see. So I've a lot of action to be had there. And 4A and 4B, best of luck to all 10 bands in both grades. Yeah, have a good tune. Moving on to our juvenile grade then. We've only 4 bands in here for our juvenile grade. Kind of disappointing again for a major championship, but we spoke about this before, about how it's kind of understandable that a lot of bands aren't travelling due to the cost. And yeah, that's a topic for another show. But yeah, let's give a shout out to our 4 juvenile bands. We have kicking things off at 10:30 in the morning, Dollar Academy, followed by Preston Lodge. Go on the PL. Yep, then we have Lochgilly High School, followed by George Watson's. There you are. So that's your 4 in your juvenile grade there. Yeah. So best of luck to all 4 of you. All right, moving on then. Grade 3B on the day. 8 bands in total. Yeah, now we mentioned this, I think, whenever we first read the draw, that this was really quite shocking for a major championship. Numbers were well down in this regard whenever it came to Grade 3B. Disappointing. But nonetheless, we still have quite a competition in here. Yeah, kicking things off at 1:30 in the afternoon, we have Kilbarkin, followed by Down Pipes and Drums. Then we have a Cleland Memorial, yes, followed by Ballybully, Drumloch, Binbrook Lightnings, New Rossin District, and the William Kerr Memorial. There you go. That's your grade 3B. So pretty quick grade, about the guts of an hour and everything's finished. But that's going to be a very keenly fought hour, I should mention. Yeah. Now, bands that are jumping out to me immediately looking at this list of 8 bands, well, one that's been kind of blazing a trail, especially from a drumming perspective, is Down Pipes and Drums. If you haven't heard them yet, they've had a couple of runs in the circle now this season so far, and they've definitely hit the ground running. Of course, I'm going to be a little bit biased here, but I have to give a mention to Drumlock. Drumlock Pipe Band, of course, are booked to play on Big Rab Show live at Piping Live. Woohoo! Yeah, so I'm excited to see Drumlock in the circle there for sure. Now, I was very impressed this past weekend by New Ross and District, who really had a big tone. So shout out to Brian McMahon and everyone there at New Ross. A real good tune. So I'm looking forward to seeing them at the UKs. Yeah, so best of luck. Also, shout out to the William Kerr Memorial, another band with a keen drum corps that I'm very excited to listen to again. Yeah, William Kerr had a great run, and I don't know, another band to pay attention to. Shout out to Ballybowly as well, never to be outgunned, always blowing a big sound, and I've been really impressed with Ballybowly of late. So again, another band to keep a keen eye on. Of course, another band that we mentioned at the very top of the grid, Kilbarkin. Come on, those guys can absolutely cook. So whenever they switch it on, it's on. So good luck to Kilbarkin. Yeah. Now, also a band that I haven't, much knowledge of, to be honest, Binbrook Lightnings. And I've only got a few opportunities to see them now, in video form. This will be my first chance to actually see them in person. So I'm excited to see that. Yeah, but I haven't actually seen them firsthand. Seen them plenty of videos and stuff, and yeah, they sound great. But I would absolutely like to see them in person. Yeah, see the impression that they give. There you go. All right, so that's grade 3B. Quite an exciting grade there. But I think the next grade 3A this season, so far, has proved me right. Now, what I'm going to say may well be controversial, but you may also agree with me. But the competition, the standard of play that we're seeing here in grade 3A this season has absolutely stepped up a step. Now, I would absolutely argue with anyone to say that that's not the case. Grade 3A this year, 2026, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So let's talk about the 11 bands that we're going to see in here in 3A. Now, again, not a huge draw for a major championship, a little disappointing, but still very exciting. So let's get into the bands. Kicking things off at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, we have the Major Sinclair Memorial, followed by Uddingston Strathclyde. Then we have McNeilstown, the Matt Boyd Memorial, Kildogue, Battle Hill, Clough-Finn, Cullabackie, Burnt Island and District, Irvine Memorial, and Surla and District. And that's your 11 bands in 3A. There you go. Now, do you really want me to start going through each band and telling you their stories? Because each one of these bands have really been shaking things this year. So I'm not going to sit here and read a hashtag list, but I am going to say it. Similar to grade 4A and B, grade 3A, every single one of those guys in there have a story to tell and a tune to play, and they can absolutely melt your face with it. Yeah, 100%. Anyway, I don't know. I'm looking at this list and I'm trying to think of who I should shout out, but absolutely all of them. I can't choose right now. All right, Surla's drum corps, come on, they're just ridiculous. They're so good. Clough-Finn and that new medley from Conor McCallion and the guys there at Clough-Finn are just absolutely singing at the moment. Kildogue as well. Did you hear them in Cookstown? What? Oh, my word, something else. And the Matt Boyd Memorial, of course, just ensemble, man. All right, people are going to get upset that I don't mention them, but yeah, that medley selection from the Major Sinclair, whew, wow, okay, yep. And Uddingston Strathclyde as well, coming across and thumping a tune. This would be very exciting, actually, to see Cammy and the folks there at the Mighty Uddy firsthand. I'm really looking forward to hearing them, yeah. McNeilstown as well, and those now iconic white drums that they have. Have you seen those? You're bound to have seen them by now. They look brilliant, don't they? And they sound fantastic as well. Oh, man. Battle Hill as well. Now, I don't believe I've heard too much from Battle Hill this season, so that's on me. I just haven't listened to any of the recordings or anything, so I'm going to have to go back and see if I can find something. So there you go. Kulabaki pipe band as well. Come on. Irvine, Burnt Island District, come on. I'm getting tongue-tied now. Just pretty much all 11 of you. If you were to set a deck chair down at grade 3A and that's you for the day, absolutely, you'd be thoroughly entertained. So good luck to all of you. As for making a prediction, who I have my eye on, I have my eye on all of you. That grade is going to be ridiculous. And good luck to all of you. Speaking of ridiculous grades, let's talk about grade 2. Oh, where do I start with this? All right, we have 9 bands in here in grade 2. And for a major championship, that's okay. All right, let's get into it. Kicking things off at 2:45 in the afternoon, the city of Edinburgh. Then we have Johnstone, followed by Uddingston. Then we have the Royal Borough of Annan. We have Oban. Then we have Tullylagan. Denny and Dunipace Association. There you go. We have the Manor Cunningham and St. Joseph's. Now, I'm going to challenge you out there. If you're listening to this podcast right now and going, Rab hasn't given us any predictions at all. He's too feared to shout someone out, and then he's going to be wrong. And then we'll all take the hand out of him and go, your predictions were wrong. You're an idiot.
Stuff the Rab got wrong.
That's not the case. This grade here, man, I just don't know. Right, because this weekend is going to be medleys. It is an extra curveball. I haven't heard any of the medley work from a lot of these bands yet. You know, the first major of the season, for example, like we mentioned earlier, the playing requirements were different. For grade 2, it was MSR. This one in the UK is medleys. So just where is this going to sit with grade 2? Who is going to come across as the medley powerhouse? I have no idea. Now, I can only speak from first-hand experience after hearing some of these bands in person. All right, there's a lot of bands that I haven't actually heard on the grass with my own ears. I've heard plenty of recordings, of course, but I'm going to give you my impressions of some of the bands that I've heard firsthand. St. Joseph's, first of all. That medley selection from Tim Farley and the guys, I think it is quintessential St. Joseph's. It is absolutely their voice. And that's difficult to establish your own voice in an absolutely ridiculous grade. And St. Joseph's have achieved that. And I think the rise and fall from their drum corps, the overall ensemble picture that you get with St. Joseph's, absolutely a force to reckon with. Speaking of force to reckon with, after their performance at the Mid-Ulster Championships, Manor Cunningham are absolutely singing at the moment. Their pipe corps are clicking. I don't know what Gordon and the folks there at Manor are doing, but they've done something, and their pipe corps are just another level. They're just brilliant. And the drum corps as well, after having a bit of a revamp over the course of the winter, have certainly hit the ground running and are matching perfectly in with the pipe corps. You know, they're not lagging behind, and you know, they're not rough or anything, because you would think, you know, with the introduction of a little bit of a moving and shaking with the drum corps, that would unsettle things. Absolutely not. If anything, Manor Cunningham have certainly stepped up their game. And just watch Manor this weekend. Okay. Speaking of my own band, Tullylagan. Go on, the Lagan. Yoo-hoo! Yeah, we have to give the Lagan a shout, of course, because their showing at Cookstown was absolutely brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed that medley performance. And yeah, if you haven't listened to it yet, go back and listen to those grade 2 performances from Cookstown at the Mid-Ulsters. And yeah, I don't know, man. They're going to make it incredibly difficult for our judges. And I love it. So those are the bands that I've actually heard firsthand. I've seen them on the grass in person, and I've experienced their music, and they've absolutely impressed me. I have no clue where this is going to shake down. Now, as for those bands that I haven't seen, the city of Edinburgh, I've heard plenty of recordings, and again, I have yet to hear their medley selection. Johnstone Pipe Band, again, tons of recordings I've heard, and their medley selection, I think I've heard little clips of it. Haven't actually heard it all the way through yet at this point. So I'm very keen to see it. Uddingston, Come on, Uddingston is not a band, it's a force of nature. I've said this before. Uddingston are absolutely huge, and the tone that they bring to that circle would absolutely knock you over. It's insanely good. So Uddingston, again, I have yet to hear any clips of the medley. I've seen plenty of other like little half clips here and there of different tunes. Very keen to see the full set. So that's on me. I haven't done my homework on this one. So apologies to Uddingston. Royal Borough of Annan are a band that... how do I describe Annan? Their drum corps, for one, I'm going to say that they're technically brilliant. I'm going to say that, and I'm going to hang myself out to dry. But me as a drummer, I can absolutely admire what Annan does in that back line. It's very impressive stuff. And you know what? Absolutely clicks in with the pipers. Very similar to what Manor's doing ensemble-wise. I'm going to say that, put that out there. That seems to be the story here in Grade 2. A lot of bands concentrating and focusing on the ensemble approach, which is brilliant to see. So, yep, Annan, go and have a watch at their drum corps in particular, but then keep an ear for that ensemble piece. Absolutely brilliant. As for Oban as well, they've been impressing me since their Grade 3 days. They're a band that can absolutely melt your face. And so, yeah, good luck to everybody there at Oban, to Andy and everybody there. I'm expecting big things from Oban. That's all I'm saying. All right, as for Denny and Dunny Pace, they've been having quite a busy winter season. Tons of work across plenty of mini bands and quartets and different things like that. They've been out and around and playing at loads of stuff, but I haven't yet actually heard a full recording of the full band out on the grass playing a medley selection. So again, another band that I'm going to be very keen to see this weekend. So as for my summary of the ridiculous grade, it will absolutely be ridiculous. So good luck to everyone who steps into that circle in Grade 2. Have a good tune. All right, let's finally get on to Grade 1, shall we? Yeah, the top flight. Now, let's get through our 8 bands here. Yes, we only have 8 bands in here. Oh, and there's a reason why. I'm sure you all know why. All right, starting with People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia, opening things up at 20 to 3 in the afternoon. Then we have Scottish Power, followed by Ravara, Shots and Dykehead, Caledonia, Field Marshal Montgomery, St Lawrence O'Toole, Police Scotland Fife, and Police Scotland and Federation wrapping things up at 10 to 4 in the afternoon. And that's your Grade 1. Now, the playing requirements. We did mention this earlier. Grade 1 this weekend, MSR. And it's the big MSR. And we know that there are certain bands within this top flight bracket that do favour the MSR bracket. Where is it going to land this weekend? Absolutely no clue. I have not the faintest idea. But, right, looking at the results, initially at the first major championship of the season, all right, the British Championships in Edinburgh, it was absolutely cat amongst the pigeons type stuff. I have to give a huge mention to Shots, of course, who picked up that first major title and hit the ground running with ones right across the board. Now, that is impressive. It's very difficult to do at the top flight. For a band to sweep the boards like that, it's kind of crazy. So they're definitely a band that everyone will be gunning for this weekend. I have no doubt that Shots and Dykehead will absolutely hit that circle and thump out an MSR to make us all remember. Go, hi, we won the first major. You want to hear another set? Here you go. Here's an MSR. Yeah, so... yeah, Shots and Dykehead Caledonia are definitely going to be a force to watch this weekend. Everyone will be watching them very keenly. Now, not only will Shots have a target on their back, I guess, after lifting that first major, but let's talk about a runner-up from the British. Yes, People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate Caledonia are another force of nature, aren't they? Yes, what Kerr McQuillan's bringing to that back line and the tune selection and musicality from their pipe major Callum, the People's Ford are absolutely cooking. Yeah. Now, other bands that I do want to mention, of course, Field Marshal Montgomery, pipe bands. Now, when I'm talking about bands who seem to favour the MSR format, Field Marshal are certainly in the conversation. Field Marshal have been kind of famous over the years for having won competitions on MSR preference because they are an MSR powerhouse. So are they going to continue that momentum through the 2026 season? I guess this will be the first chance to test their mettle from an MSR point of view. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic there. Yeah. Also, I have to give a mention, of course, respectfully, to Police Scotland 5, who had a brilliant outing at Edinburgh, absolutely, with that big medley set that everyone loves. But this, again, stretching their legs and the big MSR will be very interesting to see where they fare. Now, another band that were back in the prizes, first time out in the circle after a bit of a hiatus, but now back in the prizes, Police Scotland and Federation. Yeah, now they're a band that are very familiar with MSRs, we'll say that, and have fared well over the years. Now, granted, last year they had a bit of a break, like I mentioned, so we can't really go on form. So we just don't know where they're going to land whenever it comes to the MSR. So that's an interesting one. As for St. Lawrence O'Toole Pipe Band, they're a band that can absolutely thump an MSR. Some of the strathspeys that they've played over the years, the swing and the musicality that they bring to the... Oh, come on. Some of St. Lawrence's MSRs are just brilliant. And I love them for it. So where St. Lawrence going to fare this weekend? No idea. But I believe defending champions. Now, that could be stuff that Rab got wrong. But I do believe that they are defending UK champs. So they're going to want to retain that, aren't they? Ooh, it's going to be exciting. Also have to give a mention to Scottish Power and to Ravara Pipe Band, both of them of which have been absolutely putting the work in. Now, after seeing Scottish Power in Edinburgh, they had a really good run. And if anything, I'm going to mention their sound. Again, I've been talking about this on Fuse last night, but the sound that we got from Scottish Power, I don't know where it came from. It seemed to come from the heavens. It was something else. Scottish Power have done something. As to what it is, I don't know. But the sound that you're getting from Scottish Power is indescribable. It's powerful. Pardon the pun. Scottish Power, powerful sound. So, yeah, a band to watch. But also, Ravara, again, watching them at Cookstown this past weekend, very impressive stuff. Again, just seem ultra confident. Tons of musicality. And again, shout out to Matthew and the back line there at Ravara that are absolutely clicking at the moment. I just don't know where this grade one's going to land. Genuinely. And I think that this is what makes this season so exciting. Now, I know I've done my season preview and I give a shout out to particular bands and I upset a bunch of people because I didn't shout them out. But this season overall, like I know this is only the second major in the calendar, but standards are absolutely ridiculous at this stage. They're insanely good. And like I said, this is only June. And we have a long road to go before we hit Glasgow for the big one in August. And then where will we be? I'll just be saying good luck to everyone. And see you next week. But seriously, this weekend's competition at the UK Championships is going to be entertaining for so many different reasons. Every grade has their story. Every band has their voice. And I cannot wait to see how it's all going to shake down this weekend. Now, as for, like we mentioned, the venue, the parking, all of that rubbish, hopefully that all sits outside. The action that's going to be inside the circle, because that's where it counts. So to everyone who's going to be stepping out into the circle and playing a tune this weekend at the UK's, I wish you all the very best of luck. Have a good tune, and hopefully we'll see you on the other side of it, and I'll be reading out your name as champions. Yeah. So I'm going to leave you with my final thoughts on the UK's. Now, we mentioned all the controversy and all that stuff. We mentioned all the action in the circle. Here's my thoughts on what I hope for this weekend's UK Championships. We know that the competition is going to be blistering. It's going to be a lot to talk about on next week's show. I have no doubt whatsoever. There are some takeaways, however, already at this stage. Numbers are down. We're seeing evidence of that. We've spoke about this before in the show about how bands are reluctant or unable to travel because of the sheer cost involved. And yes, holding one major championship here in Northern Ireland while another 4 are held in Scotland. That's a discussion for another day. So, but I am also hearing rumours. Now, again, I don't ever really report rumours on the show, but I am hearing talk that there has been bands withdraw from the UK Championships. Now, as much as I mentioned all those numbers and grades and bands and whatnot, I am hearing talk that some bands have withdrawn from competition already. So, that's disappointing. Numbers are already low as it is, and having more bands withdraw at this late stage is incredibly disappointing. However, I'm sure each band that has withdrawn from competition has a viable reason, and I'm sure we'll probably hear more about that as we get closer to the competition itself. So, yeah, I'm excited and I'm disappointed in equal measure. I'm excited because we know the music this weekend's going to be off the charts, and I'm going to have a ton to talk about. But I'm also disappointed about everything else that has overshadowed this event. The low numbers, the venue, the parking, having to pre-book a parking spot for a tenner, and then you buy another tenner to get your ticket to get into the place. Yeah. And everything else aside, shuttle buses, yeah, we know we don't like them. All of that stuff. Come on. This weekend, it's going to be a mixed bag, folks. But I am so hopeful that this event is going to be a roaring success. And I'll be talking to you all next week, telling you how good it was. Yeah. So, folks, that's it for my UK Championship preview. I've mentioned pretty much all of you at this point. So if I did omit anyone, again, omission is by no means exclusion. Every single one of you in that circle, if you're in there thumping a tune, that's as good as a win right there. But I wish you all the very best to bring back some silverware. Yeah. Now, as much as I'm talking away about the UK's, one last story then. I did mention Grade 1 has 8 bands in here. We should have 9, but yes, Inverarian District are heading to Chicago. We talked about that earlier in the show, of course, talking all about the Chicago Highland Games. And yes, again, good luck to everyone there in Chicago. Have a good tune. And to anyone around the world, if you are out there playing at a competition this weekend and we haven't given you a mention on the show this week, please do. Email us in. Let us know how you got on. Even send us your Rab Show shelfie, and we'll do our best to share them out in our socials. bigrabshow@gmail.com is the address. Send them in to us. All right. I have no doubt we'll get some weekly drones as a result of this week's show, and we'll catch up on next week's pod when we wrap up everything from the second major in the season. It's going to be such an exciting weekend, folks. So good luck. Have a good tune. And yeah, we'll see you all on the other side of it. So until then, thank you all for downloading this week and each and every week. And here, don't forget to tell your mates about our wee show, about what we're doing over here. Talking about what we know and loved, be the music of the great Highland Bagpipe and its people. Sure, what other pod would you listen to? All right, folks, we're out the door. Good luck, everyone, this weekend, and we'll see you all next week. Until then, all the best.
Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week, and a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show Podcast. All the best.